So I'll introduce myself. My name is Wicnehster. I do interpretation with the Battlefield Foundation. Today I'll give you guys a Civil War walking tour of Winchester. So I'll get started with an introduction about Winchester, and then I'll talk some about the courthouse. So ties between Winchester and the American Civil War are considered to have begun with the suppression of John Brown's raid in October of 1859 in nearby Harper's Ferry. Following the raid, a Judge Richard Parker of Winchester presided over the trial of John Brown. During the war, Winchester would suffer through 5 major occupations and 6 battles, and is known for changing hands dozens of times after major battles, such as Antietam and Gettysburg. The town would also become a mass hospital after battles like Antietam and Gettysburg, with thousands of wounded soldiers occupying nearly every public and private building. So there were 6 battles fought around Winchester, the largest culminating with the Third Battle of Winchester, which took place on September 19th of 1864. And this is considered the largest and costliest battle fought in the Shenandoah Valley, with a total of 54,000 troops participating in the battle, which is twice the current population of Winchester, resulting in around 8,000 casualties, which again, 54,000, twice the population of Winchester. So the city is located at the north end of the lower Shenandoah Valley, which the latitude of Winchester is actually north of Washington, D.C. Winchester's location was also the hub of key roadways linking the High Valley to the eastern United States and coastal plains. Sitting just south of Potomac, Winchester lay on the only route between the eastern and western U.S. with direct connections to D.C. And all these major transportation roadways passed nearby. Winchester. So Winchester was also the base of operations for several Confederate incursions into the north. Robert E. Lee would pass through the Shenandoah Valley on his way to Gettysburg, and the Shenandoah Valley kind of shielded the Confederates from D.C. and the east United States, or the eastern part of Virginia. They were shielded, and the mouth of the valley actually opened up north of D.C., so the Confederate armies would be protected on both sides. So Winchester also served as a central point for troops conducting raids against the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. One example is in 1861, Colonel Thomas J. Jackson removed 56 locomotives, 386 railroad cars, and 10 miles of track from the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad during his train raid, and he actually closed down the line for more than 10 months. So the Confederates used the valley for protection, and Winchester was a good jumping off point for invasions and attacking railroads and heading east and west. We have a few maps we'll pass around. The first one is, let me see, let me pull it out. What's the first one? Yeah, okay, we'll pass that around. So the first one shows the Shenandoah Valley and where Winchester sat at the northern end of the valley. We'll pass that around, and then the next one come around shows you the railroad Then you can see how that connects out Winchester, and then that was basically the main railroad to go west at the time. Now continue on and talk about the courthouse while we're right here. So this is the Frederick County Courthouse. This building was built in 1840, and this is actually the third courthouse that was built on this site. The first one was built in 1744, and that would have been the first courthouse built west of the Blue Ridge Mountains. That would have been the first one then. George Washington's political career actually began while he was here. At this time, the French and Indian War would have been in full swing, and George Washington was colonel in the British Army at the time when he was stationed here. So he was actually elected to his first public office on this site. There's actually a placard up on the wall of the courthouse that talks about that. So he was elected to the House of Burgesses. This would have been 30 years before he was president. So that was his first political office. Then he did the next one. Magazine flip it. So the next person coming around is Cornelia McDonald. She was a town resident that lived here in Winchester during the Civil War. So the building, the courthouse here, was actually used as a hospital, a prison, and a barracks at different times throughout the war.
Oh, sure.
Cornelia McDonald is one of the famous devil diarists, and her and several other women kept diaries of all the events that happened in Winchester during the Civil War. So that's how we know about all the troop movements and how Winchester changed hands so many times. These women kept track. So after the first Battle of Kernstown, March of 1862, this would have been the first Civil War battle fought around Winchester. Well, in the Valley, Shenandoah Valley at that point. This was still the first battle. So she wrote in her diary, she said every available place was turned into a hospital. The courthouse was full, the vacant banks, and even the churches. And there was actually amputations performed actually inside the courthouse in the main room. And they actually put all the amputated limbs like outside on the courthouse porch. So that was like very shocking, obviously, and that was the first time any residents here in the valley or in the city saw what aftermath of the battle was like. And that was just kind of a taste of what was to come later on as the war progressed. Did everybody get the pictures? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll give them back, and we keep going. We'll head to the next stop, which is the Taylor Hotel. So follow me.